Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Kairaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980-8483, 340-9400 or 635-9906.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Brusubi opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051 or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya. Mbare ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi manin domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moy o diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka. Ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, Takaful Fund, management of Zakat, management of Awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Brunch on Kerfatu Live. This is our weekly look at current affairs, whether it is a discussion or an exchange of ideas among our panelists on major stories of the week. This week we'll go back to the National Assembly, where we pick up the bits and pieces of the draft constitution that is going to head there, hopefully very soon after the gazetting from the government and the reactions from the public. I have eminent panelists who will have their say on the constitution. We will also look at another very important story that the government confirming that Senegal have informed them that basalt, that is a material used very widely in construction, will no longer be exported from October from Senegal. How is this going to affect our construction industry? And what is this? Is Senegal trying to protect their precious stones or natural resources? Or is it the beginning of a trade war between the Gambia and Senegal? Hopefully not. The preliminary results of the National Housing and Population Census indicates that the Gambia is 2.4 million people. Well, other sub-categorizations raised a lot of controversy, if you like, as to, for example, how many foreigners are in the country and where they come from. That we will also discuss. If time allows also, we will find out what is going on at the APRC, especially soon after the loss of Yanuba Colley, a very prominent official of the APRC. And I think that's where we will start. We want to extend our condolences to our brother in the studio, Dodou Jah. And next to him is journalist Yusuf and Sanna Camara. Sanna, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Jah.
Yusuf, as usual.
Pleasure to have you.
Yes, Mr. Jah.
Yes.
We're sorry about the loss of Yanuba Colley from the APRC, and of course somebody who served the country as mayor of Carnifing. I'm sure your party definitely must have been very shocked and really grieving or mourning over the last couple of days along with Gambian people. Because how would you remember Yanuba Colley?
Thank you for having me on the show. And greetings to my colleagues, Mr. Camara and President. It's rather, for me, it's very difficult moments, I would say. Yanuba was a mentor to me. He's part of those who groomed and nurtured me into politics. A lot I learned from him. I would say his loss is irrepressible. Yanuba is one in a million. To have somebody of his caliber politically would be a challenge for the APRC for so many years to come. And I even doubt we'll ever have someone not more than Yanuba, but like Yanuba. He's a low-profile type of a person. He's open to all, young and old. And Yanuba, you hardly see him keep malice or even get angry. That's his relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, his house is like open to all and somebody, be it food or whatever you need. If when you approach Yanuba, you need something from him, he doesn't have it, he will go to the next person and said, I need this. You give it to him, then he gives out. Yanuba wants to see everybody happy. He wants to see everybody, in a very pleasing mode. Even if your face changes, ask you what's wrong. We try to crack a joke, appease you with something to make sure you let go of the past. And the slogan APRC, no stress. It's from Yanuba. He says, we don't know stress. And he always emphasized, like, we don't eat chicken, we'll always slaughter bulls, we'll do this.
That's right.
We want to see it in the people. When you're around Yanuba, sometimes you feel there's no problem in this world. That's the type of person he is. Every matter that's big, he will treat it, as these are petty issues. This is solvable. You don't need to worry. So it's definitely a loss, and his funeral have shown and proven the amount of people who definitely come to pay their respect. We expected people would be many, but I, for one, what I saw, I was really thinking about. But he worked for it. Like I said, he was open to everybody, despite different, party affiliations. Yanuba is the people's Yanuba. That's the one thing I would say.
I remember one thing I knew and loved about him was he kept his old friends, even when he was at the height of his power.
Exactly.
I remember this Terry Kafo, when they were, all of them were nowhere. Jaliba Okiate was their mouthpiece. He sang a song about that Kafo. And I saw members of the Terry Kafo, still very much close to Yanuba, even when he became a very powerful man in mayorship. I admired him for that. People like the Jamme Bojangs, and even Jaliba Okiate himself, the Lai Bajis, the Usman, who set up the organization, they were very close to him. So he kept his old friends. That's what I like about it. And like you said, he was somebody who was always jovial. Every time he's cracking a joke, and then, the next minute he's onto something else. I think so. Many people said this is going to be a very big blow and a huge vacuum in the leadership of your side of APRC. For example, apart from FTJ, Fabakari Tombong, when you look down the ladder, the first person you think of is Yanuba Colley.
Yeah, that's very true. That's why I said in my opening statement that Yanuba is irreplaceable. We'll have to be honest with that. I've met people, even in the diaspora, people who served in Angola or the country, permanent secretaries, directors in this country that are currently serving, who explicitly told me. That's why when Yanuba was sick and were running up and down for overseas treatment, when I knocked at their offices, they told me, today I am sitting at this office. Yanuba has contributed in my education. He has supported. I met people in Angola who told me I was part of the APRC because of Yanuba. I was responsible for mobilizing people in Angola and other places. This I come to know in contact, not anybody telling me, but personally. I hear these confessions from people. That's why I said Yanuba is irreplaceable. To have someone like Yanuba in APRC, I can tell you it's definitely not possible. It's definitely a big loss and a big vacuum when it comes to the leadership of APRC.
Sanna, you remember him?
Yes.
Yes.
I remember I had him on Bantaba at the Standard, and he is an open guy, because you remember the Standard when we came up and we were struggling to become a daily paper at the time. Bantaba was one of the most sellable and was one of the selling components of the paper. And of course, we featured all the parties. And I remember editor Serif Bojang's love for political front pages. But every time we knocked on Yankuba's door, he was always coming. So I remember this interview we had and at the office, at the APRC bureau. I asked him all kind of questions. Some would have gotten upset with my line of questioning, but Yanuba was very mature, very jovial, like Mr. Jah said. When I said, Mr. Colley, they said your background, you didn't have even good education. He said, but I'm running a municipality. Mr. Colley, he said he has security background. Yes, that's why APRC is very secure. That kind of things. I can still remember those kind of things.
He was a police.
Exactly. He was, he actually, I think he was a very good politician. I remember him very well. And he did very well to try to fortify the APRC's foothold in the Gambian politics. So
one of the best APRC ever had politically.
I think definitely he was a great asset.
When I remember when there was this arson attack on the bureau of the APRC, and Yanuba said, this attack is politically motivated. So I kept asking him, Yanuba, what do you mean by politically? He said, well, it will come to light. So, and then when I heard that it was voters card,
this is what he was thinking about.
So you must have interacted with him.
Actually, no, I haven't interacted with him because of perhaps my journalism wasn't here in the Gambia at that time. But when I returned in 2018, since then, I haven't, crossed paths with him or had the chance to interview him. But from all accounts, and listening to, the reactions, and it definitely sounds like an enigmatic character, somebody who transcends perhaps just the party that he represents. So yes, it's an unfortunate news to learn of his passing, and of course the vacuum that he would leave behind. His family, loved ones, I'm sure we are really, our condolences go out to them, in this hard time.
Mr. Jah, yes. When the draft constitution that has been prepared by government with those changes, many people said, well, we've been right, good. Many people said, well, apart from expressing disagreement with some of the changes, critics said, well, they have now, the document reflects the wish of the government, which is one, to entrench themselves in power, and two, to run away from accountability. Your party is in alliance with the governing NPP, so on the surface one would have thought you have very little disagreement with the document. But if you have to give your perspective, what do you think of it?
Well, this time around, the party did not sit around the 2020 draft. What I mean by that, it's when the proposed draft was released, we had the retreat sort of make comparisons between the 97 constitution and the proposed draft, and to see whether the similarities and whether the huge changes in it. When the final draft also was released, we had another retreat and we made some contrasting the 97 constitution, the proposed draft, and the final draft. What has been adjusted from the proposed draft to the final draft. We made those changes. But for the 2024 draft that government has tendered, we did not go for any retreat to make this contrast and comparison, unless what is been evident on the media and what we are able to trash out. Yes, government's interest, of course, it's no surprise. Different stakeholders have different interests when it comes to the draft constitution. That is very, very imminent. But first point is people need to understand the transcending changes when it comes to constitution. For instance, take into account the 1970 constitution. From colonialism, whatever was thrown, like that sovereignty, that independence was accepted. We just needed laws that would govern and push this country. We had that to the coup d'etat in 1994, then 1996, working on the constitution whereby we had decrees, yes sir. Who wouldn't want a constitution? Everybody would want a constitution. No matter what constitution was introduced, Gambians were ready to embrace it so that we'll walk away from the decrees. So you will not have challenges like we are not going to accept this, we want that embedded and the like. So that trend and pattern would be different compared to now, when democracy is in the room. Everybody wants to have a slice of that cake that they feel, okay, this is mine, I can have a bite and chew the way that I want. So it's very normal and common that we'll have these differences. No, I want this, I'm not going to accept that. And this has been the case from the proposed draft. When the final draft came, people said, okay, we had our own position paper, but it's not captured, it's not featured in the draft. So it's trending that the 2020 draft was rejected at that parliamentary stage. And there are issues that people said it should be adjusted.
We must adjust the draft because something that was rejected by parliamentarians, they have their objections to it. You cannot take the same draft back. I believe that's one thing that has pushed government to say, okay, our interest can best fit in now. Hence, the 2020 draft, it can't holistically be pushed back to parliament. Now, here comes other stakeholders, be it religious, cultural, or even political parties who are saying, no, we're going to stick with the 2020 draft constitution. You're not going to make any alteration unless parliament does so. It's like we have three interest groups now. Those who say the 2020 draft and nothing else. Those who said we want to get rid of the 97 constitution, as they label it, Gambia's constitution. So any constitution we have, no matter what, hence we're going to get rid of the 97, we're okay with it. And the third group is the recent one that said, okay, what government has adjusted, we're in line. We're in support of government, either they're part of the political party or not, but they're in line with this 2020 draft. And it becomes a challenge for parliament now. How do they synchronize this and present a draft that Gambians will say, okay, we're going to go in for this? Because if either party is saying no, then still we're going to stick with the 1997 constitution. But if you ask me, I will conclude by saying at a personal level, hence the party has not sit over it and come out with tangible point or section and say we agree with this or disagree. I feel it's still a good constitution. No document is perfect, but I have some reservations when it comes to what from the 2020 draft, even to presently what government has adjusted when it comes to the draft. This I cannot say everything is okay, no. But despite that, I am among those who say or those who agree that we need a new constitution. Yes.
Well, so I mean, how do we go about then? Because like you have adequately outlined, there is a group who said we should have a constitution at all costs, which is by compromising this. There's one who said no, we rather stick with the 1997 constitution, and these others who said, well, the government is right. But then, overwhelmingly, when it was released, a lot of people said, one, the consultations were in, if there was one, what the input of the majority of people was not there.
Yes.
They saw that the government has changed a lot from empowering the president to sealing the cabinet and the president from appearing before the Anti-Corruption Commission. And of course, the third term, not been specific as to where would the where would the term limit starts. So those are the three contentious issues. Personally, what do you think we should go about with that?
Well, first and foremost, for the consultations, it should have been broader or wider than what they did. And again, I am in for civic education. If the constitution is meant for the people need to understand, have a basic understanding of what the constitution entails. And you cannot better do that than in our national languages, in Mandinka, in Wolof, in Fula, Sarahule, and other languages.
And that's hardly done in that.
Yeah, it did not occur, if you ask me. For me, that's the first problem. When it comes to consultation, I would say people were not widely consulted so that they will understand. Now, once you understand something, it will be easy for you to support. And it will be easy for you to say, I don't agree with this, and you'll be able to put in, a better challenge or understanding for it to adjust.
Breaking this down in the local languages would be very difficult, because some of the terminologies in the constitution, you hardly have words for them in the local languages.
Well, that's the problem here that I have with the 97 constitution compared to this draft language. And most of it, they would say you need...
I was told that during the 1970 constitution promotions, what they told the local people was, well,
well, at the time, at the time, we have swallowed that. Yes, at the time, people would have said yes to that. But compared to when we find our democracy today, it would be a very big challenge. I am not surprised that government would defend their interests. If you are part of government, definitely you would agree. If you're not part of government, you will say no to that. That is the politics of it. It depends which side do you find yourself. So I am not blaming government. They feel that's their interest. That is what is best for them. You cannot tell them no, what you think is best. It's not the right thing. They'll always stand out there and defend it. When it comes to those that are not in government, what they are defending is also to their interest. That's what they have foreseen, that this is what is best. Now the query is, the job here is for the parliamentarians, and they are representative of the people. That's why I said consultation in our national languages would have helped a lot, because the people, they have the direct contact, or if not indirectly, with these parliamentarians. They'll be able to drive some influence in them to represent what the interests of their own people would be. But here, parliament will be those that will decide whether it will pass through or not. That is a stage. Now, when we talk about the referendum, we want people to say yes to a document that they barely understand. That's the importance of the consultation here. Because a lot of people, the same words could be used to them, that this is not a good constitution, say no. Or this is the best constitution, say yes. So it's a matter of no or yes, which would have more influence here, whilst the people have little understanding of what is in that constitution. I felt what should have been done in the past was negated or neglected. That is engaging the masses who has the power to say yes to it, to tell them what is in it and what the interest would be. Based on certain things that were highlighted when it comes to the issue of marriage, when it comes to the issue of secularism, there were voices that were heard firmly and said, we're not going to accept this, and adjustments were made. And I say these, you would have time not to say they are minority, but the interest there is only one of two that were pinpoint. Now, when it comes to accountability, transparency, if you leave that with government, they will not subdue to what the people want. But if you have taken it to the major stakeholders that would have been break down into the national languages, they could have had a voice that would definitely stop government from making any changes or adjustment, because people's power would here stand, and mostly government would be terrified when majority said we're not going to accept this. But that has not occurred.
So yeah, why the consultation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Tell well, you had reactions. What were your takeaways? Your agreement and disagreement with the 2024 draft from government?
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, I think first of all, one of the things that I would like to highlight with regards to is, you talked about the different groups. So there's been a survey which was published just recently, Afrobarometer survey, and in this survey it highlights that 7 out of 10 Gambians are in support of a new constitution. Yeah? Not necessarily which constitution, but they are in support of a new constitution.
Including me.
Yes. So, but there are 24% that say there is no need for a new constitution. Obviously, that means that that's the camp that feel that 1997 constitution is still good to go.
Maybe those are people from Dodou Jah.
Exactly. So I was thinking that he was even more going to be in the other camp, but let's move. So, but the problem here, and this is where I believe the problem is, only a few less Gambians believe that the ruling party, 29% of those that they surveyed, believe that the NPP has showed commitment to a new draft constitution.
How many percent?
29%
only
of the respondents. Yeah, and
these respondents are committed.
Yes. Similarly for UDP, but UDP is showing more support. I mean, commitment. According to what people's perception is, that people believe that about 34% of people believe that UDP are more committed to a new constitution. So you can see, and this pans out in the votings. In the 5th legislature, when they rejected the draft constitution, all the UDP members voted for the in favor. But of course, now we know that script might flip because of the contents of the draft constitution now that has shifted towards more favoring government. All right? Okay.
So you think that the UDP and its support might now want to vote against it? Because that's what they said. They said even a dot or a comma is changed.
Yes, but they have changed their narrative.
Now,
another statement, I believe, came out from the UDP. Not I believe, I know, came out from the UDP that they would look to take it to the next level stage, because of in the 5th legislature they did not even take it to it did not pass the 2nd reading. So first reading, minister will just come, blah, blah, this is the bill, blah, 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 nothing will happen, no debate. 2nd reading, they will now debate the merits and the merits of the bill. That's what they are supposed to only focus on, not the individual clauses. But then this is where the speaker has a very difficult job, because stopping politicians from speaking their mind is very difficult, and sometimes it's a bit difficult. But what parliamentarians are supposed to do is to debate about the general merits of the bill. For example, if they see chapters, you know, that are missing, that they expect to have seen. For example, obviously integrity. A parliamentarian, especially at the merit stage, could argue that why is there a whole chapter on, you know, because these are wider perspectives. You don't need to necessarily go into single clauses. So, but I mean, from what I see going forward, right now, I mean, it's clear that the constitution that currently has will entrench. It's not that much. They are not, to me, they are not that much different even from the 1997 constitution with regards to the powers that is given to the president. And in some instances, even more powers are given to the president. Now the president will not only be able to nominate a member, they want to allow the president to fire a nominated member.
That is too much.
You see? And in the 2020 draft constitution, it said that there is not going to be any nominated members, in fact.
Exactly. That is very fundamental.
The diaspora.
Yeah.
My people who are watching from abroad, they're supposed to have been at least considered. What about giving them nominated member positions? Exactly. In Senegal, 15. 15
diaspora MPs.
Diaspora MPs. In Gambia, our president wants to keep them still for himself.
And he can fire them.
And now he wants to be able to fire them.
Even Jammeh could not fire them.
Independent institutions.
He could have, but then he didn't do it.
He did.
He did what?
From Farmer John Basis was fired as speaker.
You see?
Oh yes, he did that. Yes, that's the nominated member.
And this is one of the things which I challenged the Minister of Justice. I said, Minister, you have been saying that you want to maintain the status quo. You want the president to be able to hire and fire the IEC chairperson.
Yes. To be appointed by the president.
You know, some of these things,
with consultation,
they are very serious. And us, we do research on this thing. National Human Rights Commission, they have a position paper on the constitution, on the last one. And this issue of IEC is in there, clearly, categorically. If you see, when I was speaking to the minister, if you go and you look at the press conference, I was holding a position paper from the NHRC. Sometimes they will not know where my questions are even coming. They think that maybe it's just my own personal. We do our little bit of research.
Absolutely.
And a lot of what is in that position paper from the National Human Rights Commission, the government has renegated against it. And they were taken care of in the 2020 draft. So I will just want to segue here to say, even before talking about the contents, I feel that this thing will come in 2025. It will be a disaster. When you want to bring a...
when it comes to parliament?
Yes. It can come in now, in November. It can come in November. But it will continue until in 2025.
Yeah, because referendum.
Yes, and then to have a referendum in 2025, I think it's very risky. And it will be very politicized. It's the year just preceding.
Look at the composition of the assembly then and now. Then, I mean, when the 2020 draft was thrown out, the composition of parliament and now, when you compare, which side of parliament will get the majority?
I think we see, this is the thing about the draft constitution.
How much percentage is needed?
It says you need a super majority.
Two-thirds.
You need a super.
No,
you need 75%.
That's two-thirds. That's two-thirds.
I'm talking about referendum.
Yes, even in parliament. You need two-thirds.
No, you need three-quarters.
Yeah, that's
two-thirds.
That's two-thirds in parliament.
Okay.
Yes,
it's almost two-thirds. Yeah, that's
so.
No, two-thirds. I'm a civil engineer guy. Two-thirds. It's different from three-quarters. That's completely two-thirds.
No, I think
two-thirds is 30-30. No.
But the percentage is 100.
It's three-quarters.
Percentage is 100. Percentage is 100.
Two-thirds is like 75.
What is one-third?
That's 25.
No. 1/4 is 1/20.
1/4. Yes, 1/4.
No, you people don't confuse the people.
But I can say that.
Hold on.
Two-thirds majority means.
No. Hold on. Just hold on. No. This is just maths.
It's more than half.
No, hold on. Just take it easy. A third is about 33. It's 33.
Okay. Okay.
One is 33.
Okay.
2/3 is 66.
Okay.
You see?
Yes.
Yes, and 3/3, there you go, it's the whole. So now, it's 3/4, it's about 75. You need about 42 members. Yes. You need 42 members.
Yeah.
Yes, to vote in favor of the
for anything,
for it to pass.
For anything, whether to pass
Yeah,
or
so
not.
that's 75%. If I'm correct, and this is what I've been writing about.
Does any of these sides enjoy that?
No, this is where I'm coming from, and this is why, to be honest, the president had an opportunity when they started doing national dialogue and forced political dialogue. It showed huge maturity from the president's side, in my view, and many of us, we welcomed it. Of course, we are saying that it's not followed through, but this was the kind of thing
that would have helped.
That needed to. I thought that when I saw that, I said, is the president going to show the maturity to bring the political class together to talk about issues which are even higher than just them, like the constitution, like cost of living? Huh?
So then these national dialogue could have been used.
It was the perfect platform
to promote a consensus even around the constitution.
It was the perfect platform, and the maturity that the president needed to continue, not to deviate into.
So as far as you are concerned,
going against
the composition of the current assembly means that neither side can have its way when it comes to either passing or dropping it.
This is a thing that needs bipartisan support, if I can put it in that way, in a simplistic term.
Sanna,
yes,
not much have been had.
But it's also good to be listening.
I hope you guys have learned a little bit of math. A third and a quarter.
I know that 2/3 obviously is more than half.
Yes, 2/3 is about about 66%. Yes.
So I'm trying to say whether any side enjoys 2/3 majority in the assembly now. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Chami, first of all, I think as a Gambian, as a journalist, okay, we as a country, we I don't know, we are at a very crucial crossroads here. This fight between APRC and UDP is drawing us far back in terms of a political transition. And I tend to tell people that the Gambia is bigger than APRC and
NPP. I think is here. I was going to say APRC, NPP.
No, I probably am thinking I'm still in 2014 or not in 2024. So you excuse me. The Gambia is actually bigger than the UDP and the NPP, and there are differences. The constitution actually is a reflection of what the Gambian people want, our aspirations for a new Gambia. Okay, so that being said, I personally, I think this issue of the constitution is what led to, let's say, my fallout with Adama Barrow, and his government. I would say.
Did you also have a fallout?
Well, I want to call it a fallout because I couldn't keep my opinion when the constitution was rejected at the assembly. Even though I work in the State House, I openly spoke against that. It was wrong, totally.
Are you telling us the reason for your departure from State House?
No, I'm not telling you that.
Breaking news.
I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that.
Okay.
Because when I got disappointed in the system, I don't think there is any reason for me to stay serving that system anymore. You understand?
I know.
And at the time, this was not even NPP because at the time there was no NPP.
Yeah, there wasn't.
It was only President Barrow and the coalition government. So I'm telling you where things start falling apart for the coalition. In my view, even the political transition. Because looking at it fundamentally, once the constitution is not in place as the basis for the transition or the political transition, it means we are just going in circles. We are not making any headway. If we want to come in here making these multitudes of amendments, enactments of laws, and we still live in the most fundamental part of this legislative process, which is the constitution, then we are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The reason why we're talking about the IEC or the electoral reforms, we're talking about the civil service reform, the security sector reform, all of these things are captured in the new draft constitution. Talking about public administration, the role of the chiefs, the role of the alcalis, the women councillors, the representation, like at the level of the National Assembly, electing the president. So I think what is at stake in the new constitution is bigger than just the president and his powers. What he ought to have and what he does not have to have. You understand? So we are looking at learning from the mistakes that we've had since 1965. We had a colonial government here. The nomination, a lot of people did not know that this idea of nomination actually came from the colonial legislative council. When the colonial governor at the time will make nominations in the assembly, areas that he felt or people felt probably are not properly represented or appropriately represented in the council. So the governor has that will to nominate people to go in so that they will have a very diverse kind of representation. But when you come to look at it, especially on the Jammeh, we have seen that that nomination process lost its value.
Of course.
Jammeh will only nominate people who are 100% loyal to him. In fact, he will handpick them from within the APRC to add on to his numbers. They will also come and with powers that, for example, you need to choose the speaker and the deputy speaker from among those nominees. So you, by extension, we are just making the National Assembly, or by, we are just making it an extension of the executive. The National Assembly wasn't able to play that oversight function over the executive under the 1997 Constitution. Is that what we want for ourselves? Is that what we want for the future of the Gambia? I think the never against slogan is not only for the TRRC, it starts with this Constitution. If we don't want a repetition of Jammeh, we don't want a repetition of the PPP's 30 years kind of rule, we better start thinking properly and make the right moves. Because we never know. Look around West Africa, what is happening? We are seeing militaries taking over governments. I'm not saying that I pray that to happen in the Gambia. But when you get push people against the wall, anything could happen. People can go on the street and it will be a total mess for the country. All the girls that we have registered since 2017 could just go like that in thin air. Come on, let's take this seriously for once. What do we want out of a new Gambia? Why are we not taking this thing seriously? For me, this is what I don't tend to understand.
Well, the contentious, one contentious issue still splitting the people, dividing the people is the term limit.
Yeah.
It is alleged that the issue about term limit is what led to the rejection of the 2020.
But for me,
with all the goodies that are there.
I chose to work for Adama Barrow as the president of the country. His Excellency. I'll even call him His Excellency because he's my former boss. And when I worked with him, I used to call him Mr. President or His Excellency. I never call him Adama Barrow. You know, understand?
Of course.
It's out of respect for the position that he's holding.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. The Adama Barrow that used to be in the State House in 2017, 2018 suddenly metamorphosed into a different kind of Adama Barrow around 2019 towards 2020. Adama Barrow who came and told us that he wanted to stay only for 3 years. And after everything, we realized that the practicality of having that 3 years was a problem. Everyone, I think majority of the people, not everyone, but majority of the people think that, look, he should go for a 5 years. At least he should spend 5 years in office.
It's his UDP people who first said he should go for 5. Not the majority of people at the time.
No, but there was consensus.
You mean Dabo said he would take anybody to court?
It was the UDP.
He said
the UDP is denying that they didn't say it. They said
Dabo said, to be clear, Dabo said, you're right.
But Dabo is the leader.
Dabo is the one
No, man, that's the problem with Gambians. We need to be clear. Mr. Gas said here that he was making a position, his personal opinion, not the APRC's position. Dabo said he's on record. He said what he said was his position as a member.
But nobody cabinet. But
UDP have
But nobody came to clarify that it was Dabo's position.
Yes,
not at the time.
Okay, not at the time, yes.
Now the point is,
Not at the time.
no, but the point is, the 3 years, I think a lot of people believe that the 3 years, it wasn't going to be practical to have the 3 years elections at the time, for Barrow to just step down, organize fresh elections, and we move on.
No. It was that was not.
Because this was already a year after the National Assembly elections happened.
They got in there and they felt comfortable.
Say that majority of people didn't think it could happen. No.
Okay.
It was the UDP leader who said that
as soon as he came out,
that Mr. Barrow should serve a full 5-year term because of the fact that he thinks that that is what is reasonable and that is what's constitutional. That's what he said.
Yes.
But the majority of the Gambian people at the time were promised that he was going to leave in 2019. Whatever happened.
Now listen to me.
So definitely, now, even though you could say Dabo expressed an idea that was accepted by people from his party, you must also say that Adama Barrow was the one with whom the bus stops. If he had wanted to leave, no matter what Dabo said, he would have left. So you couldn't,
I agree.
you couldn't entirely blame Dabo.
No.
You couldn't entirely blame Dabo
The
for
reason
it.
why I said majority of the Gambians.
Yeah.
Because I think that what Usainu said, this is my opinion. What Usainu said probably sank well with a lot of people who were at the time in support of Adama Barrow.
Including Adama Barrow himself.
Yes?
Yeah.
Let me say this way. That's why I said a lot of people, a majority of the people, alright?
Yeah.
Now, but there was no survey done, like what we have seen with this Afrobarometer in terms of the cost. There was no survey done to establish the percentages.
Yeah.
But you know that after the 3 years Jodna protest, we also saw Barrow for 5 years protest. So it's not that there were support also for Barrow for 5 years. And interestingly, most of the people who were in the 3 years Jodna, people thought they are even UDP. Even Barrow used to say, these are my UDP guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I followed with them. That's why they are the ones who came.
Yeah,
in fact, he said Barrow, Usainu was the CEO of the 3 years. So the point is, Mr. Cham, the point is that if Barrow is able to have his way to the 5 years, for me, I would have thought that's enough for a transition period. He should have organized fresh elections, go to his business, whatever he promised us, like to say, okay, I'm going to continue with my business at the time. But we know that there are a lot of underlying issues why Barrow wanted to go further.
Why? Well, personally.
Well, a lot of not personal. Some are personal, but there are other things at stake. Of course, including the issue of Macky Sall also having an influence in Banjul. It was good for the Senegalese also to have somebody like Adama Barrow in the State House. We all know what has happened under Barrow. It was unprecedented in terms of Senegalese interest in incursion into the Gambian politics, into our national geopolitics. We've seen that. It was unprecedented since time of Senghor. We never had that kind of relations with Senegal. So it was also good, politically for Senegal to have someone like Barrow in the State House. Even today, I mean, situations could vary a bit, but when Macky Sall was there, we all know this. All right. Now, going further, if there was elections and he won overwhelmingly, according to the IEC, okay, he's going for a second term. I don't know why he will still think that he deserves a right to go for a third term. This is what I don't understand about African leaders. We are making some kind of thing that is going to jeopardize the stability of your country, is going to create chaos just for you and your clique. I mean, those around you, those who are contributing to your campaign budget, those who are trying to benefit or like milking the system, just in your favor, as those who are surrounding you and pushing you that no, you have every right to do this. Sometimes you put away those rights for the greater good. Barack Obama said when he was standing down, he said he knew that if he had gone for a third time, he would have still won in America because he was still popular. But because there are strong institutions that protect or that safeguard that two-term limits of American politics or American presidency, he dared not even think about it. Why are Africans not thinking of building strong institutions? Barrow had an opportunity to be to make that historic development for us in the Gambia, and we are throwing it away. This is my problem, Mr. Cham. This is why I said I have a problem with Barrow. Because we had every opportunity to create history. And we are just throwing it away. And just for what?
Well, let's talk about all these things and put in perspective with regards to the 2026, Mr. Jah. One analyst, no, it's not, it's a group of, I think it's a study group, Africa Research something, who said that they believe there could be a lot of tension in the 2026 election in the Gambia, particularly if the president decides to run again. The Minister of Information, Ismail Assise, was very quick to reject such suggestions, but only weeks or so after, we saw tension rising as in the aftermath of Barrow's speech in Brikama. So, is it right? Are they right to observe that there could be a lot of tension in the next election?
Well, that will depend on how politicians will play their card. Being a politician, and I interact almost with all of them, it depends how the cards would be played. For instance, if you have a united front when it comes to the opposition, it might be as they have predicted. Because they'll have a common interest, a common goal of wanting to take charge of this country. But looking at how things are, it will be very difficult to have that.
A united front.
Yes, because the opposition here, it's like what they say in Wolof, manla manla. Each and every one of them wants that peace for themselves. Not thinking, okay, let's come together and have someone to lead. That would be very difficult to achieve. And that's normally favors the incumbent. The incumbent tries as much as possible to bring people together around him.
And divide the others.
And the opposition, each man for himself.
So
this is the political strategy here. Now, when
that was strategy used against your man, isn't it? In 2016.
Yes, in 2016.
Jammeh.
Yes, because for so many years it has ever been every man for himself. So Jammeh would be here as long as possible. But
when the coalition came together,
and they saw the power and might and the effect it has, that was like a winning strategy.
I see.
But how can you devise that again? This would be.
You don't see that happening.
This would be the challenge.
And for example, in the UDP, even before it starts, they're talking about.
No, not only UDP. Listen to almost all these leaders. I'm not saying all of them, almost all of them. It's English language. Whenever you listen to them speak, it's like if Barrow can be president, I can be president too. They'll start questioning his educational background, what he was yesterday, what he does, and all that. So every man feels I can be a better candidate than His Excellency President Adama Barrow. Now that thinking is what needs to change. It's not only about your academic.
They forgot about the circumstances, that brought him to power.
No, I always say the dynamics of politics in this country.
Yeah, the dynamics.
It's very different from the rest of the world. Some people might disagree. They're entitled to that. But Gambian politics, the way it is done, the grassroots, these are the people who make you what you want to be or what you are. Now, most of these things we try to tip them into, they are not interested in it. And they're the majority. These undecided voters we talked about, they are the majority, not even the political parties combined. Now, these are people who sit on their own interests.
So what attracts or what throw them away, this silent majority you're talking about?
Well, before and today, there is a huge change. For instance, in the past, you could do politics with little resources financially. But those days are gone today.
You have to have money.
So much money has been pumped into politics. And that is with the influence of the president himself. People don't just say, I join NPP just like that. We normally see what is attacked. Compared to back in the years, where out of your own free will you can join any party. It's still existing. But even if you don't request for it, it comes at your doorstep. And these are things that people are not throwing out.
So you mean, but that's an honest analysis. So you mean the NPP, for example, must have pumped a lot of money in their campaign, the last presidential election, and are ready to do so.
This is the demand from the people.
Yeah.
It is demand from the people.
Absolutely.
Like, what can you do for me? This is why people today, they're not stagnant when it comes to politics. I'll come to Flex and say, what's my interest? Flex gives me $5. And I go to Sanna and say, what's my interest? Sanna gives me $20. And I shift to Sanna.
Yes.
People are making these huge demands.
That's an honest.
You engage them, they used to tell you we need football jerseys, we need this, we need that. The women, they have their interest, the businessmen, they have their interest. This is what has torn the dynamics of politics today in the Gambia.
That Doi calls politics of patronage.
Yes, to the financial
That Doi calls politics of patronage.
The people make this demand. You don't only blame the political parties, the leadership, but if you get connected to the grassroots, they need to engage. And of recent, this has created a lot of shift in allegiance to parties. Some will tell you, okay, I've been in a party for so many years. What did I benefit? What are the gains here? So if they see any new breeding ground, they will shift. And nobody owns anybody in this country.
Of course.
Now, looking into campaign financing,
Yes.
from the last presidential elections, you go to political parties, how much they spend in their campaign. Millions of dollars. Was that the scenario, in the years past? No. Look at the parliamentary elections. People campaign with almost $500,000. Even during the days of Jammeh, it depends on the size of the constituency, how much funds you could receive. From 65,000 to 75,000 at most. But coming into play $500,000 just to campaign for parliamentary. So what do you do when you don't have the money? This is the financial transition I am talking about that makes it very difficult even for political parties to have aid. Now we're going into 2026. The amount of money that will be projected or injected into the political campaign will surpass 2021. And you can take it to
How much was spent in 2021?
I don't get the exact figures. To be quite
how much was given to APRC for your alliance with the NPP?
Well, I can't tell exactly.
But there wasn't.
Yes,
of course.
there was money
they funded
because they funded the campaigns we did. It was not in a bulk. It was constituencies.
They also return their resources, their vehicles and
So going forward,
that was for the party.
what will be the fate of the APRC in the next 2026? When is your alliance ending with them?
Well, the alliance goes to 2026.
So
there's a proposal, maybe 2026, April, May. We'll have an extraordinary Congress. So that
and then you will decide.
Yes.
Many people would have loved the APRC to reunite, reconcile, that is, so that you have your bloc intact. They said, if you have your bloc, the so-called, how do they call it, NATO coalition, with the APRC, they want to have them, intact. They said that would be a formidable force, and perhaps that will put you very much advantage in any negotiation that you may enter into any of the parties. Are you thinking of going on your own this time, going solo?
Well, the party will decide that. There are some who have that belief that APRC will put up a candidate because they believe that's what would also push the party and revitalize it, to give it a strength that it has lost.
Because people believe, whether people in the APRC believe this or not, that by dishing out jobs to your top executive, they're virtually killing your party, swallowing your party.
Well, I wouldn't blame those that are employed.
Do they have a value?
Or the government.
That if you continue to receive a job from the NPP, this time or the next time, you're killing your party gradually, because people have been given positions from your party are actually going to be NPP.
And these are the big wigs, huh?
Yeah. Well, and what I'm saying to that depends with the party, what the party would do. If the party does nothing, just lying in wait, obviously it's killing the party. But if the party stands up to believe in the ideals of the APRC, do what we used to do, like organize meetings, rallies, engage the grassroots, you'll have to build the party. But if that is not done, you will start to lose people within the party itself. Politics is all about that activity, that ambience. It's like reminding the people, here we are, keep up to your toes, and we need to do A, B, and C. If you leave people sleeping for far too long, others will wake them up and carry them away.
Because if you look at the transition, if you look at the timeline, you think that, okay, Fabakar Tombo, who is the head of the APRC, is in the parliament, and his term goes beyond the 2026 elections, isn't it?
Yes.
So if he were to keep his job,
he definitely doesn't have that problem with regards to keeping his job.
I'm talking about that. Like he could still be. No, what I mean is, he cannot be removed. He cannot be removed. He cannot be removed. Okay, listen now. He cannot be removed.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm trying to say, if his job is beyond 2026.
Yes.
All right. If he decides, or the party decides now, our this thing is going to end now here, he probably may not look for continuation of his job after his term ends in 2027.
Well, I don't foresee him continuing his position. I don't foresee that. Jumbo wants to retire. He wants to be on his own and sort out other issues. These were his plans long time ago. So I don't see him serving another term in parliament.
What's going to happen to the leadership of the party then?
Well, I think the party have to decide that. And it's only through Congress that will make these decisions.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree a lot with Dodou Jah, with what Dodou has said, to be very honest, about the way he analyzes it. This is the way I see it.
So money talks.
I feel that the coalition that the president has is his biggest asset. In parliament, outside parliament, in government, in local government as well. So I feel as long as they can keep their coalition, and that's not easy, Dodou knows, we're talking about those things. Of course, keeping your coalition happy up until 2026 is their big challenge. If they can do that, it will be very difficult for anybody to start and then build a coalition that can rival this coalition. How can you rival that machine? Except you get to the people's hearts. Right? That way it's possible. I believe that's the only way it's possible. Some leader comes in who the people finally say they rally behind him, just like we had. But the coalition that this MPP currently has, it's going to be almost impossible. Even if
he's saying that it has to take another coalition.
It's going to take another coalition to be able to match these guys, just because of how far their tentacles reach, across the country. They've done a very strategic.
So if you have a party over there like UDP saying we can do it on their own,
it's not possible.
They're fooling them.
It's not possible for you, in my view, currently. From looking at the past trend, me, I'm a numbers guy, and I've been looking at the trend of the elections results. It's only in the local government election that they managed to win more votes than NPP. But still, if you look at the numbers are even. Okay, one can argue that in those big areas like the KMC, Brikama, Banjul is not big, clearly now, not anymore, so let's not put it in the big area. But that is the only time that it shows you that UDP can stand a chance. And what that is telling you, UDP has to make a decision right now as to which way they are going to go. Are they going to go with these new guys? The results are showing you that these new guys.
With new guys?
That is in the the local government. Well, I don't have to name names. I mean in the local government.
When you say new guys,
yes, the new guys in
the UDP, new guys in the UDP. The Taliban shooters.
Yes. The young Davos.
The Yakuba Davos.
The numbers are showing you that those guys, when they come against NPP, they can win.
I see.
Right? But those are obviously isolated cases. Yes? But what it is also showing you, if you go far back in the last presidential election, is that it's going to be very difficult for Usainu Dawo to defeat Barrow. Okay. So what that is telling me, UDP needs to right now, in my view, if they are going to stand a chance, they need to get a candidate
other than Usainu Dawo.
Yes. And because of the numbers, I'm not saying this because of I don't know, because of what I see in the numbers, and that person needs to have enough time to build a coalition to rival the NPP coalition, which even right now, I don't think they have enough time.
Sarah?
No, I think I'm looking at all of this from a different point of view. Of course, I hear this school of thought a lot. The ones that Flex is talking about, Mr. Dodou Jah, I think they share the same school of thought about.
Not all. No.
In terms of what we're talking about, in terms of that coalition, and then trying to rival I think the 2026 elections, the outcome will not depend on the real numbers that he's talking about, because there are still conflicts about the outcome of the 2021 elections. Let's remember that this case has gone to the Supreme Court, and it was dismissed not because there was no substance to the case, but because they said there was a technicality. So it has raised a lot of eyebrows about the outcome itself. International, of course, the government is moving on. Because I think
so. You
have to
clarify that.
That's the reality.
You have to clarify that.
Listen, do you believe in the UDP's theory that them and not Barrow actually won the elections in numbers?
I don't want to say I believe in
the UDP's own argument is there have been irregularities in the matter of registration.
I want to agree. I believe very well in irregularities.
Yes.
And I think irregularities are a result of a process, a long-term process, a long-term strategic planning, not exactly with the numbers. I will tell you, for instance, we have a voter population based on what I said, the 900,000 voters.
About a million.
A million. Okay. And in the Gambia, historically, it has been established. There was never a point in time since I started voting in 2001 that polling stations will be open beyond 4 p.m. But we know that 2021, polling stations were open until 10 p.m. in the Gambia here.
So 11 in those polling stations. 11 p.m. In Sokoto.
No, but the law allows that.
The law said when they are
you said something. Let him clarify that.
When they are in the polling station, it says polling close at short time, but people who are already in the constitution should be voted. So they should be allowed to vote.
In the queue. So when it is time, one of the officers will stand last of the queue.
Yes. So that nobody else. So now what I'm trying to say that
I'm not looking at the law. Please listen to me. I'm not looking at the law. I'm trying to look at who in the Gambia, based on how outspread the polling stations were. For every Gambian, your distance from your home to the polling station shouldn't take you 2 hours, 3 hours. So who in the Gambia at the time will be? No, let me stimulate. I'm telling you why I believe there are irregularities. Because on the Gambia we've learned a lot of lessons. I may be young on the Jawara, the irregularities that were being alleged. We know that we learned from those ones. But I know that on the Gambia, the ones that I have seen, like you made an allusion about the fire incident at the APRC bureau. Where over 200,000 voters card were.
Well, I didn't know the actual figure, but
there were estimated about 250 to 300,000 voters cards. Where are those numbers? We were still asking, where are those numbers? Until now, where are those numbers?
Let me ask the same question.
Okay.
If it is true.
No, that's my point. Right. You don't steal the election on the election day itself.
Now let me help you here. Because
there are other things that I am trying to look at.
I hold this opinion that our voter register obviously have people who are non-Gambians. I believe that.
And what's the percentage of that?
No, I don't know the percentage, but I know why I know it is this. Well, why I believe it is that look at our population now. The census, we are coming to the census, 2.4 million.
2.4 million.
I have watched elections and registration process in bigger democracies, Australia, United Kingdom, America, even Senegal. There is no way that half of the population of the country can be eligible to vote. That's not possible.
Especially
that's less than half the population.
Not possible.
That's less than half the population. No, we have about 900. No, just let's get the numbers started.
Almost half of the population.
Just hold on.
Just almost half of the population are eligible to vote.
No, Lamin.
And now, listen.
It's less than half.
Now listen.
Lamin, 2.4 million is the current census.
That's almost nearly half of it.
But this is about 40%.
If you have to go to Senegal, 18 million people. How many people voted in the last election? 6 million. You go to Britain, 66 million. How many voted there? 20 million. It is not possible that nearly half of the population can be eligible to vote.
And we have 90% voter turnout.
And also, registering and voting are two different things here. Flex. In the election that happened subsequent to the presidential one, you are telling me that nearly 60% of the people did not vote because they are not interested in elections.
Yes, that happens.
No.
That's what you call voter fatigue.
Voting are two different. I know voter apathy. Yes, but nobody need to tell you that the mayoral election. The mayoral election had almost the same enthusiasm as the presidential election.
If not even more.
Because if the president was even campaigning,
if not even more.
Three spots one night. West Coast, Banjul, and KM. 3 spots one night. Almost like a presidential election. Half of the people did not vote. But because they did not vote for NPP. But how listen, the absentees. They did not vote for NPP. They did not vote for UDP. They did not vote for anybody. They just sit down and took no interest.
Yes.
Few months ago, they were queuing up to midnight.
If you ask most people, Lamin, let's be fair.
There are people who
allow me. Let me respond. Lamin, there's a very important thing. We need to be fair here to the Gambian people. When people look at priority, president, National Assembly, local government, most people, they don't even know what the local government is giving to them.
Correct.
People don't vote, they don't care about those things.
Okay, why?
Let's be very honest.
That factor is correct.
And that you can see. And then hold on just a moment. If you look at the voter turnout, I'm a numbers guy. If you look at the voter turnout, the numbers continue to drop. And that's normal. That's what normally happens. So if I vote today, tomorrow you want me to come and vote. I'm less likely to come and vote. And then you want me to come and vote again. You see, that's why we are saying, hold on, just allow me. This is the reason why government is against. No, thank you. But this is what we are saying. If we want to bring voter turnout consistent.
Hold it on the same day.
Let's
Like
hold them
Jawara.
on the same day.
Like
Or
Jawara.
we have just 2 elections, local and, presidential and, for example, National Assembly, and then you have all the local government on
During Jawara's time, elections are
so if we
held
do that,
parliamentary and
I can tell
on the
you.
same day.
So no, let me tell you something.
Yes,
There was
okay.
no independent electoral commission.
No, but there was local government. Minister of local government, and then they were doing it.
Administered by ministers who were appointed by the
So
president.
let me
Get the opposition win.
So let me
Very minimal.
conclude.
All right,
Let me conclude. So to conclude,
Yeah.
allow me to conclude.
Yeah.
If we have all the elections into one day, voter turnout will be the highest. If we have elections two different days,
Yeah.
voter turnout will be less. And the same is what we see now. We have 4 different elections.
Yeah.
So that's why voter turnout is so poor.
No,
There has been-
The numbers are declining
I understand
from
very
president
well. I
to National
understand that.
Assembly to local government all the way.
I understand that.
It declines continuously.
But voter capacity, you have to look at the sheer number of people. Understand? The sheer number of people.
But the numbers are not saying that.
No. You have to look at it. You have to look at the election. I know
agree.
presidential is more important. The state is higher. But you can't say that the mayoral election in this country was as least contested, keenly contested as the presidential
But
election.
that's what the people are saying. The people have voted, and the numbers are showing. If you go and you look back, almost every other election cycle, it's the same trend. Every other election cycle is the same trend.
You know what I believe in?
So you need to look at the data and what the data is saying.
Yusuf, is this: whether it is NPP, it is UDP, it is DOI, it is any other person, there are people who registered in our borders who doesn't live in the Gambia. I mean, they come from across the border. That is an indisputable fact.
And those could be Gambians. We have Gambians living across the border. We have Gambians who are living in Canada. We have Gambians who are
justify cross-border voting. Are you trying to justify it now?
If they are Gambians, why not?
So, are you trying to tell me that you have the right to stop a Gambian from voting?
That's the point I always say. Let's say in the Gambia or cross-border, unless you are a Gambian,
No Gambian has the right to stop any Gambian from coming into the country, number one.
Exactly.
And no Gambian has the right to stop any Gambian from coming in to vote. What's the meaning of that?
Nobody owns it.
That is now. Let me close this one. Let me close this one. If we are very interested in having Gambians voting, the best step we can do is to extend franchise to our diaspora.
I agree.
There is over 200,000 Gambians, maybe more who are eligible, and they could have voted and made a difference in this country, because we know that our economy is running on the back of remittance. Why are we denying them? And yet we want to extend it. We want to justify in court that Gambians living across the border have a right to come. So even if you're going to keep the police stations to be open until 11 p.m., we should allow them to come and vote. No problem as far as I'm concerned. What I was trying to say, I mean, before I got interrupted, is that if you talk about election, it's a process. Yeah. All right? And part of the process is to look at the credibility and the composition of the electoral commission. As we speak, it is the same president who is appointing the commissioners, and he is firing them. So more or less, the loyalty could be in question. There is no oversight functions over there, and the president is still refusing to let go of that power. Even if you look at the new amendments to the constitution, why is he trying to hold on to that monopoly?
Move on to the other topic. Because why?
Okay.
I want to know. Like you have summarized everything.
Okay.
If we are interested in Gambian diaspora participating in elections, all right? Why are we interested those only from Senegal and Mauritania and not those in UK?
Yeah, I want to shed light.
And also, this holding elections in one day, holding election one day, we know is the best way to fight voter apathy.
Best way.
The people want it to be on one day. The government said no. Why? So you see.
No, the reasons are there.
Yeah, why?
The reasons are there.
Why?
For example, to hold elections in one day, you cannot do with the marble.
Right now in Gambia, it's not possible.
You cannot do it with the
But that's what's happened on the Jawara. On the Jawara, yeah.
You know how many barrels you will need?
No, listen.
You know how many?
No, listen.
Imagine if you are
This is voter council. During Jawara's time and today, you cannot make comparisons. No, listen.
Please explain to them.
The IEC said that because of our electoral system, right? If we don't go into paper, the logistics is going to be huge. All right?
Not impossible.
Not
huge.
impossible, but huge.
Possible, relatively.
It's going to be huge. But you are saying that it's not possible. What I'm telling you is that it's practically possible.
It's not possible.
No,
It's not feasible.
It's not feasible. It's not a matter of opinion.
Okay, just hold on. Let's just think about it.
Look, I'm an elections expert. How much space would you need? Like to limit my voice.
No, we want to help you understand.
My opinion.
It is done under Jawara the same day.
What was the voter population at the time?
But what are the resources then? And now?
What I'm telling you,
hundreds of thousands.
300,000 population, 300,000 now almost a million. And even this single vote, how long does it take us to announce the result?
But we almost final results. But why are there questions and that's about the elections outcome? Always are there more questions than answers about elections outcome. Why are we staying about like 24 hours to have final results of our elections? Senegal, I mean, they had how many million?
Yeah.
And within
it's ballot paper. It's ballot paper.
Before
it's different from the marble.
Why can't we transition to ballot box if that's
more about the rule? If you allow me, I'll give you the reason. Yeah, you just don't jump into it.
Yeah.
IT, it's my area. These are areas that we study. I have said in one of the workshops that was organized by the IEC, I said, give me the contract to print these ballot papers and anybody I want to win will win. And I still stand by that.
I see.
If you know how it functions. When you talk about ballot paper, I've been asking questions. I said, which one? Which format are we going to use? There are different formats. So if you tell us ballot paper, show us which format do you want us to use. And we'll analyze that. You don't jump into ballot papers because election irregularities can bring chaos in a country. Even the University of the Gambia have tried using ballot paper in elections and they have challenges. Talk a lot of people who have challenges when it comes to the marble. Ballot paper election is not as easy as people think, and it requires more resources financially compared to the marble.
Using marble, thought that's much easier.
No. That's the IEC. That's what they think. Ask them what was the bill, the amount that they took to Parliament. Parliament threw it away because of the financial challenge in it. They could not adopt that. Ballot paper is more expensive compared to marble. These people need to understand because the marble is something that you recycle. If you vote it, if you use it for voting, you don't throw it away. You keep it and use it again. You don't do that with ballot papers.
Yes.
Ballot papers, once you use it, and that's it. And there are questions raised. Number one, who is going to be responsible of printing those ballot papers after the format? Who is going to be responsible of voting? The serial numbering. If somebody comes to vote and made a mistake, do you allow them to vote again or is it null and void? These are all questions that IEC are yet to answer. Now, talking about diaspora voting, the law did not capture it. The diaspora cannot vote unless the law tells them to do so. Here, voting is divided into 53 constituencies. In which constituency does the diaspora fall?
If you want to put up a legal framework, everybody who lives in the diaspora come from a constituency in the Gambia.
Okay.
So it's very easy. They go and register in.
You can have a diaspora constituency.
You know what I find baffling?
You just go to Parliament and claim.
You know what I find baffling?
That's all.
I don't know.
If you want the legislation, you can do it.
It can be done.
I find this baffling that we are making excuses for government to
this is not about the Gambia.
No, I mean this is my problem.
Let him go ahead. I did not lie. Let him go ahead. Now, when we talk about the diaspora, where are you targeting? You need to make some survey and research.
Europe and America.
No. Diaspora is beyond that.
Those are the ones that are.
It is beyond that. How about the people in Angola? How about Gambia in India? How about Gambia inside
everywhere in the world?
That's why I'm saying you need to go to these countries and establish how many Gambians are there documented. Just verbally saying I am a Gambian.
I said they can do it with the funding.
No, okay, listen to me.
With the funding from where?
Mr. Jah.
Does the government have that financial
We don't have that. Look, let's stop making excuses for the government.
I am going to give a government the office.
No, the reason why you voted the office is to take the responsibility of our heads.
Let's exhaust this.
This is not about government. We're talking about Gambia.
We're going to
government alone cannot do it. It's all our responsibilities. But let's accept the realities. People doing diaspora voting are not using marble. Are we going to take the marble to the diaspora? It's practically impossible.
We have to change.
Let's accept the religious on the ground. You cannot take the marble to America or to England.
No, you don't need it. You only need to take marble and organize it. You don't
when
take
it comes to diaspora voting. Name me one country that have taken marble.
Nobody uses marble except us. No. You don't take marbles from here to UK. You can have it's the IEC, the same IEC. All what you need is an IEC to live here.
The law has not provided for that. We can have our wishes and thinking, but outside the law, it is not possible.
Okay.
We need to make the laws available for us before it can be practical, and this is what we have to accept.
Because there's a
Very good point.
Now, there's a diaspora policy of the government already. Yes, that the government has recognized diaspora as the 8th region of this country.
Yes.
So you cannot tell me that it's not possible to.
That is verbal.
No. Policy is beyond verbal.
It's just a policy.
Policy is beyond verbal.
They have to implement.
Policy is beyond verbal.
Right. It's a policy. They
There's
have to implement.
a whole directive. That's what I'm saying. Listen to me.
This is government wish.
No. Listen to me. It's beyond the wish.
It's like the NDP.
It's beyond that.
It's like the NDP. But what have they actually done?
It's a wish. No, listen to me, Mr. Cham. Now, listen to me. Listen to me, Cham. Listen to me. There's a whole directorate, diaspora affairs directorate, at the ministry, and there are staff that are manning that and operationalizing that department. Gambia is maintaining. How many embassies are we maintaining outside this country that are funded by the Gambian taxpayers? We have sent it. We've sent ambassadors there. We've sent protocol officers. We've sent defense attaches, and we are paying them, paying for their families, paying for their upkeep. You are telling us that we don't have the money to make sure that our government citizens registered in those countries to come on to the embassy and cast their votes. Let's stop making excuses for the government.
I'm saying
no. Just listen to me. Listen to me.
The marble.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
It is not possible. It is right.
It is not possible. No, let's accept facts. It's not possible.
But the problem is, where the problem is. We have two problems. We have either one, lack of capacity to do it, or unwillingness on the side. Unwillingness on the side.
Both.
So now
is the main driver.
So Frank said it's unwillingness. Sanna said it's unwillingness.
And I'm saying both.
Yes.
And you said
both. Unwillingness and
I just want to say, once you get over the unwillingness, the capacity will definitely be built.
But you have to have capacity also. Even if you have
capacity is his.
Okay. All right. Let's go. This will lead us to the census because it's related, in fact. GBOS, that is the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, who conducted the census with sponsorship from UN and all UN. How do you call it? Population Secretariat and all the stuff. And last week they said they have a preliminary outcome which says the Gambia's population is 2.4 million. Well, I was completely surprised because I think even 5 years ago, I often hear Gambians say, when people talk about Gambian population summarizing, we are just 2.7 million, we are just 3 million. So I was surprised that they said we are 2.4 million. And much more surprising, baffling, was that the amount of foreigners, especially Senegalese, stood at 42,000, a little over 40,000. So many people have said either the givers have got their numbers wrong or something has happened. And did you come across people who said they have not been counted?
Yes, I came across.
I've seen somebody.
I noticed something at the beginning, and
let's start with him first.
This tablet that we are using.
It's always the nice. It's always nice.
Okay, all right.
So
yes.
What do you make of that? 2.4 million. When 5 years ago we were talking, in fact, thinking that we could be 3 million.
Well, if you ask me, I would say 2.4 million. For me, it's on the low side. I believe.
You believe it's too low?
That the population is more than that. Now, coming to the census, what I'm going to say, GBOS might not like it. But I say, I believe they could have done better. Taking into account it's a system you are introducing for the first time, digitalizing it.
Yes.
I think time was not enough. I've interacted with a lot of field workers, enumerators out there, and I've seen the challenges that they have put forward. And this is from the recruiting and training on the onset. I've seen a lot of people who registered online. They were not opportune to be accepted. It was electronic.
What do we do? Go do that again.
More competent people whose background were IT and they applied and put their documents, but they were not selected.
Yeah.
To be remunerators or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
These are people, some of them I know. One is a friend of mine. He used to be a lecturer at Journal of Tutors. He's very young and has all the potentials and capacity. I applied online. He was not lucky to be selected. But I've seen people being accepted who don't even know how to
use a complicated.
So that's the registration process I'm talking about. We could have done better if you bring in the right people to handle it. That's number one. Number two, you invite them for training. Training into which you did not give them a proper orientation. Now, in the midst of training, few days after that, GBOS officials came and told them that 10% will be deducted from their fee.
Yes, that's what they said.
That's not ethical. You should have told them before they start. I am not saying that they should not pay tax. Of course they should pay tax, but make it known to them in the beginning. That 10% will be deducted. If you agree, you go ahead. If not, you drop. And there are thousands of others who applied and were not selected. So for me, in essence, that's where they should have begun with the orientation. Let people know what is involved. Because that created a chaos. Until in the Basse area, they said they are not going to continue with the training. There was a standstill, a halt to it, which for me administratively was improper. You've not started the census, and the field workers, the enumerators started getting angry and raising concerns. Will they do the work wholeheartedly? No, and I will come to that. Now comes the training. People you train, it comes for you to dispatch them. They were not called to go and serve. And they brought in people who were not trained during the census.
To replace them?
Yes. To be out there so that they will benefit from the financial. Be it a friend, a relative, family member, this has happened. And you engage those who were trained and those who were in the field, they will tell you this. I did my work. I'm very connected, with the people. And another challenge what happened is, these copies they give them was from Senegal. And they told them that any damage, you're not going to pay money. They want to see the charger, the copy, everything intact, because it does not belong to us.
You mean the equipment, the laptop?
Yes, they call it copy. It's where you enter all the data and the like. And it's like it has a tracker, people being monitored. There's a tracker with these copies. Now, the tracker alone is not enough that people did the work. Coming into account, I see those who cover their area, they called them later to go and cover other areas because there were a lot of errors.
Yeah, well, errors or delays. I had
some they did deliberately. They just go to compounds and enter figures that they like without engaging the people. And it's when the people went back there, that's when they detected all these errors. Like, for instance, you go to a compound and said, there are 6 people here. And they felt there was an error. I went back and they told me there were 8 or there were only 5. Which means some of the figures, the data was not accurate. And there are areas that they did not reach to. That's why when you ask about whether we've met people who are not counted, I said yes.
Yeah,
a lot of people who said nobody came to me and I was not counted.
I saw some.
How was it done? There were some with their copies, they just went to this booth, sat there, drink at a chat, and later they entered any figures they like and they submitted that. Did they have enough time to check all this? If you ask me why I said GBOS will not like what I said, when you train people, it's the first time you are going digital, you should have allowed them to do some practicals before census proper should start. Because during the census, some even came to detect that some of these copies had problems. Now, if you had them back on a practical, give them a few days to go around and practice what you taught them and what they've learned, you'll be able to detect some of these mistakes and you rectify them before the census proper. That's why I talked about the time frame here and the type of people trained and their backgrounds and capacity that they have to run this. And they said for the first time, teachers were dropped for whatever reason, best known to GBOS. But
they said it would clash with their work.
Well, it depends whether somebody will be willing to do the job or not. Not all teachers are on the same line. Me being a teacher, him being a teacher, our schools and what we do, it's not the same. It is different. The time he might have, I might not have the same time. But teachers in general saying dropping everybody, I don't think that was a very wise choice to do. And like if you bring in fresh start, those who never engage in session, whether they've been doing it before, but this time it was digital. Train people, allow them to implement the practical, you'll detect some of the mistakes you have and that rectify it before the census proper. It will help you to adjust. These are some of the things I said. I believe in the next census, they might learn from this and they will do it better. But the way it was handled this time, for me, it was prompt. And some of them did not even cover the areas that were given to them correctly. Because you dispatch people and you allow me alone to do it. Who's going to supervise? Who's going to monitor the issues?
They didn't have supervisors.
The supervisors were not working with them foot to foot. Some of them went alone. I know people, I called them, he said, I'm at this compound. They covered it alone. Now, if I decided to sit at that booth and drink attire, who's going to detect that? It's a tracker. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. The tracker sees me moving. But the data that I input, I can decide or choose whatever I want there.
So you think this all might have affected the outcome?
Of course. Of course it will affect the outcome.
Flex?
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen that. The first thing I want to say is that if you, even in their preliminary report, since 1973, a census has been undertaken. Every 10 years they published it. But this one, it was delayed. 51 years of tradition of holding a census every 10 years has been broken.
Yeah, even yeah, that's
So
right. It should
that's-
have been in
last year,
2023.
So, and this is very important because of, this is how the government uses, these are the very key statistics for the government to even plan on how to develop the country. Because if you don't know the number of people, you don't know where the people are, you don't know some basic questions that you will ask them to find out where is having less water, less, services. These are the important things of a census, so that you plug that into your development plan. So I think it's very important to highlight.
What reasons did they give for the delay? Was it not because of money? I think it was money and technical matters, and the fact that they are going digital, as he said.
Perhaps this is a digital thing. I mean, that might have been the issue. But
I said the government said they had no money.
At the time, there was finance and technical.
Finance, that was the thing, and then the donor partners were approached to come and provide some money.
Some money.
so why we see these are bad excuses from the government. Your census, your own census.
Yeah, but
And you
everywhere,
have to just
everywhere in
wait
the
for
world, governments find sponsorship as
Yes, but
partnerships.
then you also put in your money. If I told you you're not sponsor, it's not coming because of why it is important for your country to go forward. When you don't have that information, how are you going to develop the country? You as a government, it's your responsibility to develop the country, not a partner to come and develop the country. But for me, I feel that there should have not been any delays. But when I look at the numbers, I did some look at some of the numbers, and then from what I've seen, really, the interesting parts is that Banjul, the population in Banjul is going down.
Really?
It's the only region where population has declined by 15%.
How many did they say?
By
I
15%.
live in Banjul now.
So people in Banjul right now, there's less people in Banjul.
Yeah, but that could be justifiable. People
Of
are
course,
living
people
Banjul.
are living Banjul. That's what I'm trying to highlight.
the
here.
ports
They're
expand-
saying 26,461.
Only?
Yes, are
Live in
now in
Banjul.
Banjul. And 4,593 people have left Banjul from the previous census.
10 years ago.
Yes.
So only 4,000
Only 4,593
left Banjul.
have left. Yes. But our big increase, is this one. Brikama.
West Coast.
Yes. In Brikama,
Yeah.
the increase is incredible. 462,384 more people from the last census. Now, if you, that increase, keep that number in your mind. 462,384 is more than even the total population in the next in Carnifin, which is the next biggest. Carnifin has 379,348. I'm telling you that the increase
No, is it the population now or the increase? The people who have added?
in Carnifin right now.
Right now, how many people
They
are
are saying that there is 379,348.
Do you know that nearly 3/4 of that have been registered as voters? In Canada. Do you know that?
It's possible. I think it's possible.
I'm telling you.
It's possible. Do you know that it's possible?
Out of the 300,000 people live in Canada, go and check the voter register.
I think it's possible.
Nearly
I think it's
3/4 of them
possible.
are voters.
But in Brikama is now going to be so
Melting pot.
so important
No, I think
for anybody. It has always been important, but it's going to be even more
You said,
important.
how many people did they say live
Right now in Brikama, 1.1 million.
People live in Brikama.
Yes, this is what the data is
You
saying.
get the figure correct?
Yes,
I
1.1 million.
think.
No, you
I have an opinion about that.
you must have got that wrong.
No, I have an opinion about that.
You must have got that wrong. West Coast?
It could be correct, yeah. You know,
No, this is
1.1 million people.
You
they are
have
saying
out of the
are in Brikama.
population?
Yes.
No,
10 years ago.
Yes.
Check that Check that properly. No, let him check that.
1.1 million people they are saying.
You miss
No! This we checked it and double check it. And I'm now going to go into the census data and check 1.1 million.
Yes,
we have a lot of Gambians in Brikama. Brikama is
okay, that's right. So let's look at it. There may be some. Let's look at the demographic. There may be some things responsible for that number. I'm not trying to justify whether or not, because we can take it since it's from a credible source, which is the
well, it's the biggest.
20 years ago, Carnifing. 20 years ago, Carnifing was the biggest municipality or residential geography.
I have the booklet.
But remember, 20 years ago to now, a lot of expansion has been happening in terms of settlements from Yarambamba, Burusubi. So new settlements are coming up. That means people are moving from Carnifing because Carnifing is already overpopulated. A lot of people are moving out of Carnifing to find houses from Banjul to Carnifing and living especially along the coastline.
That's true.
Okay, so new settlements are being created where people are moving from Carnifing out into West Coast because they have more land area per population. Because this is from Kalaji all the way to Kololi to Abuko, so it's quite a very big area. So it's possible.
No, I think Craig is 580.
No, look at the total.
It's possible that the numbers have grown exponentially for the past 10
million. It's there.
That's definitely quite possible.
Count local government area. Count 1.8 million. That is. That's the total. You are dealing with the total.
No, total for Brikama. Brikama has its own line. Read it properly. It's a table.
Listen, the Brikama here, 500 count, 570, percentage 49, count again 580 and percent 5. I think flex.
No, you are not reading it properly. Look at the data.
I think what you are reading might be the total count.
Total count of people in Brikama. You have male. This is male.
Then
you have female, right?
Okay.
And then you have to add the male and the female to get you 1.15.
Okay, some columns were hidden.
Come on. Read the data properly.
So that's what
he's from Brunch, right?
Everybody here, where we still his West Coast.
West Coast. 1.15 million.
Gambia Beach Hotel rolled right
now. All of them is West Coast. So West Coast definitely. And you
live in Beijing?
Yes.
You are in West Coast?
Which West Coast?
So he's not registered in Banjul. He's not,
No, I'm registered where I.
So he's one of the people who are.
I vote here. I register here where I stay. It's where I vote.
Exactly. But you're a Banjulian.
But look at
my parents are Banjulian. Me, my whole life is Carnifing. I moved from Carnifing, came to Brufut. And then when I move here, I stay here, I register here, I vote here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trend. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say that people are moving because the population.
I think maybe I still believe there's something we are missing there. But
anyway, it's there. It's the count. The count is
anyway.
Okay, just to make it easier, in Brikama, you have 570,000 men. 570,000 men. Right?
And they'll be more.
And then in women, 580,000 women. So my number is correct. The total number is 1.1 million.
Sounds logical.
Yes.
And in fact, we're gonna announce here that we're gonna invite Gibos in the next brunch.
Okay.
What do you make of the census?
No. I think the data are quite interesting. I saw one on Twitter, and they said that 49% of this 2-point-something million will be under 18 by 2026. So if that is the case, where was
49?
Check please.
Yes, I've
we saw that. So where was that
under 18?
Yes, but they would not vote for the next elections. Where was those 49% in 2021? Think about it.
You said where?
If 49%, or even if it is 40% of this 2-point-something million Gambians, okay,
would still be under age.
Will still be underage by 27. That means by 2021 they were far less. Maybe they are 14 or thereabout. So minus that data from the number of people who could vote in 2021.
49% is almost half.
It's almost half.
And that's the 1 million.
Right?
Almost half of the population.
That's almost half of the population.
And that's more than 1 million.
That will not be eligible to vote.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So now, where are we getting the orders then?
Yeah. So that's correct.
Where are we getting the orders?
Subtract that. Listen.
You have to take other things into consideration because we are
I'm following your logic and then trying to get to a conclusion. You said you subtract them.
No, I said if you subtract that number from the current one we have, let's look at it in the context of the 2021 voter outcomes. All right, the number of people who've registered to vote and the number that voted.
Yeah.
All right, we are told it's about 900,000, which is less than 1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, now your runner we could say it's 1 million. Now, if we have 49 of that amount under, let's say, will be 17 and under by 2026. So automatically you are abstracting that number out of the box. Now look at other things. For example, those who went on the back way, and they are no longer here. Of course, we can count the diaspora, those who died, okay, and also the numbers. Of course, we don't have specific statistics on this, but those who could have not participated, like Flex said, maybe because they are not interested and all that. So the tendency is that, in my view, we will still come down to less than 900,000 people who could vote by 2021. It's just some. I'm not saying that's the fact.
What about?
I'm not saying this is the fact.
What about the foreign component of?
Exactly, and that's another question.
Dodou.
Well, I want.
They said there are 42,000 Senegalese.
Yes,
someone was looking at 200,000.
I was thinking that Senegalese are almost outnumbered in some places.
Well, I'm not sure about how accurate, but some years ago I heard that the Senegalese population was more than 500,000.
Yeah, I think I had something like that. I had something like that over 200,000.
Well, my question or concern here is during the census, how do they came to authenticate people's nationality, whether you are Gambian or not? It's just by asking. I would say that wouldn't help. Like if I'm a Senegalese, you come to my resident or where I stay and you ask me, are you Senegalese or Gambian?
And I say I'm Gambian.
I'll tell them I'm a Gambian and you'll enter me as a Gambian.
Exactly.
That will bring a decline in the number of foreigners.
Yes, because the enumerators, they don't have the power to check.
It's not part of their mandate to insist on saying ID.
No, they don't.
Come on, that's a self.
They're just taking the
When
data.
they came to my house, nobody asked me for any documentation to prove that I'm a Gambian. So this will not give you the actual data of foreigners and citizens in this country. Any foreigners.
But another theory is that most of them already have Gambian citizenship by virtue of our ID card. If they have a national ID, of course they can take them.
The Senegalese MP said that in
Kabane. There's a process to
if you are given an attestation during elections to register and vote, even though you are not a Gambian, you can use the same attestation to go to what is it called again? Semlex or immigration to get an ID card. So what disqualifies you from?
No, they don't allow attestation.
Well, for some reason, I don't know. I think for some reason
they don't,
because
it is stated in the law. It says birth certificate or national ID, not attestation.
to get ID.
yeah, but attestation can lead you to get a birth certificate.
Yes.
And when you get a birth certificate, look, I didn't want to say this.
And you can get
I know exactly. I don't want to get into trouble, but I know a family.
The chicken and the egg. The chicken and the
I
egg.
know a family where, for example,
alone does not guarantee you an ID. Your parents, they must be involved. You must.
If the law is followed to the letter, you realize that birth certificate is just to register a birth. It's not enough to say you are a Gambian.
you are a Gambian, yes.
Yeah.
No,
on your birth certificate it says non-Gambian parent or Gambian parent. It's there. It's on your birth certificate.
It's there.
It shows whether you are birthplace of Gambian and
Non-Gambian parent, you will see NGP.
Is that
non-Gambian parent? NGP. That's
is
what
that the old birth certificate or the new one?
Even the old birth certificate should not, under normal circumstance, only enable you to be a citizen.
Exactly, that's the point I was raising.
Yeah.
That it must be accompanied by your parents' ID.
Yeah.
And immigration, they normally do interview. There are people who go to any man or woman and said, can I use your document you serve as my mother and my father? I've seen one case whereby my own mom at the time was called at the immigration. Now, when they pressed her, she said she cannot lie, that she was not the mother of that woman, and they have to decline.
No, they do vetting. Yeah, even if you bring the document,
they do that vetting. Even just taking the document is not enough. They request for the person to go so that they interview. Okay.
Government has let them know that they would not allow importation from their country of basalt. That's one property used in
constructions, for major infrastructural construction. For example, if you ask me, basalt must have been used in the Battle Hardin Highway and some other OIC roads and buildings like the Petroleum House and other things. We use basalt, and mainly it came from Senegal. Why would anybody say that their basalt or stone will not go to another country? They didn't specifically say Gambia, they just said it won't go anywhere. But we know, of course, that Gambia consumed a large part of the basalt from Senegal. Is this part of the policies? Because the new government in Senegal have said they are going to take extra measures to protect their natural resources and to make sure it is used first for the benefit of Senegalese first. Is that part of it, or is this a beginning of a trade war? Are they unhappy with, for example, the imposition of 500% tax increment on cement being brought from across the border? What do you make of it?
Well, I believe if it is to protect the natural resources, they have every right to do so.
Really?
Yes, it's natural resource. It's like self-force and others last.
It's only Gambia who doesn't do those things.
Let's go. Self-force and others last. That's the mechanism that they have to trade. I think it's.
But you don't find it's unreasonable?
For me, no. The country knows better. Maybe they've looked and analyzed things. It's a new government. They make promises and they want to put things right.
Let me tell you the reason they said. That they are going to embark on major infrastructural projects. But do you think that is enough? Embarking on major infrastructure up to the point that you don't want basalt to go?
Well, it depends at what capacity they can produce this basalt for export. But that could be a reason. That's why I'm saying self-first and others last. That's the approach and mechanism they're trying to apply. The question is, us as a country, as a government, what are we doing to make sure that these things will be ironed out?
This is what the permanent secretary,
Number
Lamin Namva, said. Government is looking for, has already started working on alternative sources of basalt. He didn't say where.
No, I don't think that should be the first approach. The first approach should be dispatch a delegation to go to Senegal. It is to your interest, and you cannot produce in your country. It's closest. Now, having it come from Senegal to the Gambia would be cheaper than any other alternative. Looking into distance and border and the way it will be transported. I think what the government needs is send a delegation, either Minister of Trade or whoever would represent the interests of your country, go and sit with them and say, this is what we have from you. What are the reasons? They will give you the reasons that they have. You also have your challenges and your interests. Negotiate with them, reason with them. Maybe they could make exceptions for Gambia. It could be general because no country is made mention, but they are your immediate neighbors. You just don't take press releases and you sit on it and look for other alternatives elsewhere, but engage your partners. Through engagement, you'll be able to have a benefit. They can say, for instance, now, maybe 50% was being exported. Now we're going to cut that down. Let's say 30% will be exported and that 20% will go to Gambia, 10 will go to someplace else. Then if you are having 40% now, let's say then the other 20%, let's go and see where else we'll be able to negotiate to have it. That's what you would do at the best of your interest, because this was your source. Just by press release, you don't shut down that source, you engage them. Find out what are the problems, the hitches, and you try to fix that first before you look for other alternatives.
Flex, you think this is, what are the Senegalese up to with this?
Honestly, I'm very, very confused by the decision of the Senegalese government, and I'll explain why. In my mindset, there are things like ECOWAS free trade, right?
African
AFTA, which we are talking about all these days. African free continental free trade agreement. Yes. So that, because of the reality is this. In Europe, up to over 60% they are trading amongst themselves.
Very easily.
And their economies are getting stronger. With us, it's low, very, very low. It's 18% or something like that. How are we going to strengthen our local economies? Why? I'm confused. Is it that the Senegalese government has told those who are in charge, I believe they are private businesses. They are producing the basalt, or they are blasting and getting the basalt. Is it that the Senegalese government is telling us that those private businesses have no power or authority right now, in October, to ship those things out of the country.
That's what they're saying.
This is against the whole issue of free
But
trade.
there's a new policy in Dakar that is our natural resources should be first for Senegalese. So you might think that, but
so my confusion is now: is it that the government has an agreement with them that we will buy all your basalt and you have no power now to sell it outside? It's very, very confusing.
Because they are private operators, of course.
You see, for me, I don't even understand how they've made that decision.
That's why I could not take their reason for embarking on a major infrastructural development.
So something is really, in my view, I mean, look.
You don't think this is the retaliation to Gambia imposing 500% tax increment on cement that's been imported across the board?
What I can tell you is that if Senegal want to get back at us, there are so many ways. The final thing I wanted to highlight,
because I can see the similarity in the two scenarios.
I can see what
Gambia said,
Senegal wants to get back at us.
We just increase the tax. Let them also
increase the tax. This is what I was saying. This is what I was saying. They did not do that. They have just decided that they are going to shut it down. But all countries, to be fair to them, they didn't say only Gambia.
But what did the Gambia say about the cement? We are not targeting Senegal.
Yes.
So it's similarity.
Yes. That's similar in that.
We are not targeting Senegalese. We are targeting people.
That's true to some extent. But then, of course, the issue is that the main issue was increase and not a complete blockage.
Exactly.
So for me, you see, the bottom line comes to this. Gambia, we need to seriously look at ourselves. Are we content to be like this? Basalt. They are blasting it in Senegal and getting basalt. Gambia and Senegal, it's like our geography is completely different. We are completely different. While Senegal is pumping oil, let me tell you, Gambia has every capability, if they are serious, to pump oil. While Senegal is blasting basalt, you want to tell me a country like the Gambia, we cannot explore our resources so that we can blast basalt? Let me tell you, it's high time. Even in fact, Senegal should continue doing this so that they will force this government to start opening their eyes and to look at what we have and we exploit our own mineral resources. Why can we not create have basalt in this country? Honestly, sometimes this is a joke.
I want to continue from where you left off. That we should look internally.
If we continue like this, let me tell you, people will not be happy to hear this. Let us just become a town, a village in Senegal. What is the meaning of this? Even our head of state, Senegal, is securing every single thing. And honestly, there was an audio which came out some time back. I was very vexed when I heard that audio. But look at what is happening. It's like we are turning ourselves into some sort of a village or in some sort of a town of Senegal. Our government need to act up and sort out these things. Let them blast basalt here.
So, Sanna, what do you think?
I think
protectionism by the Senegal?
No, I think they are doing us a favor.
A trade war.
If you ask me, I think they are doing us a favor because we need to Gambia like
they are
just
not doing us a favor.
No, when I said they are doing us a favor, we need to sometimes some things can be a blessing in disguise. We need to look inward. All right, I think let's get certain facts straight about this basalt trade or importation from Senegal. At what cost is it to Gambians to import basalt? I lived in Senegal. I was in Dakar for 3 years. It's quite cheaper to get a truck of basalt, a specific ton in Dakar, build a 2 or 3 story building, and it will gonna cost you here 50 times more.
50 times more.
So the cost alone for the Gambian is quite very high. I think it's unreasonable if you ask me. In terms of trade, I think it's very high. If Senegal genuinely wanted to help Gambia, that price could have been half, considering our relations and how we are benefiting from each other. Because we are already a market for them, a short market for them. Number one. Number two, I was at the State House around 2018 or so, and when these diplomats were doing the accreditation, I remember Cape Verde, the ambassador, said that they have basalt and they can be able to supply the Gambia at a cheaper rate than what we are already getting from Senegal. But of course, that Anabro, after that is going to come back and said, we want to go to that. He's not going to do that, But anyway, they had other means. Instead of using the land transportation, they were going to use ships to ship it from Cape Verde to our ports, like how they're getting the cement from Salam and others, Bagan and all this stuff. That was an option that was discussed. I know it was sold at the time because
maybe they will pursue that option.
That's one option.
If it's available.
Exactly. No, that's one option.
Depends if it's
That's one
available.
option.
Where is there? Is it
Go and check, engage it.
No, but the third thing from what he's talking about, there was this is it Fajara Mining, a new company that was, and already started mining. I saw the video. I don't know, Geology has to confirm, but they are telling us that they have stones that are of the same quality like the basalt we are getting from Senegal. And yeah, they just started it sometime late last year to this year. It's already in operation and it's called Fajara Mining. Whoever is behind the company, I don't know, but I know that there could be. So sometimes we have these resources, we are not doing enough to make sure that we explore them or we exploit them. But if that is the case, that means that construction is going to be cheaper in the Gambia. To build a kilometer of road in the Gambia is $1 million. If you want to do 300 kilometers of road, how many $1 million are you going to get? So it was even making us extra hard. Look at Senegal, the level of unprecedented infrastructural development that's going on there, because they're getting basalt at no cost almost. So we are paying 50 times more or 100 times more for that. That means it's going to cost us even extra more to get half of what they've been getting within 10 years. So I think this is important. We need to look at those options for me. And in terms of whether it's a trade war or not, I'm not sure, because when it comes to cement, Guinea also where they've embargoed the importation of cement from Senegal, because the new government there has said they're going to start doing their own cement within there. So they're already looking inward to
Guinea should be richer in terms of precious stones than
well, Guinea, I think this thing like you're talking about depends on the ownership and which company is behind it. If this company is let's say if it is French owned, for example, all right, and the terms of this agreement and everything, maybe after being looked at by the new Senegal government, realize that this is not in favor of Senegal. Maybe Senegal is just the name, but the benefits are going outside of Senegal. They could impose this kind of an embargo to say you can't import. We don't have a control over what you do, but we can also say you can't import because we need to give you license in order for you to export. That kind of all those things are coming into play. But it's a Senegalese matter that they're going to look at, and let's look at in the meantime, let's hope and pray that our government comes up with a better alternative. Because the cost of basalt is quite high. That means that people are paying far more to get basalt. And even if you're going to resume that trade with Senegal, we need to renegotiate. Senegalese have to consider that Gambia and Senegal, we have a lot in common. Why are we paying that high for cement?
So it may be a blessing in disguise if we have another source from Cape Verde Island.
Exactly, that's going to be cheaper.
It's cheaper than
it's cheaper up
here in Gambia. Let us blast these stones here.
We have stones there. You go to Sierra Leone, we have very
strong stones the stones in the first place.
Gambia and Senegal, what's the difference?
Well, there we go. Well, gentlemen, we have exhausted our topics for today, and I want to thank Dodou Jah from the APRC and journalist Yusuf Tello and Sanna Camara for being on the brunch. Thank you all each for your insightful analysis and perceptions on the matters we discussed here. We will never be tired of bringing you here, and I hope that we'll start with next week perhaps, when we have Jibos perhaps.
Yeah, you should bring Mr. Jah.
Thank you all, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona Head Office at Thipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Kairaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657-479-980-8483, 340-9400 or 635-9906.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Brusubi opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051 or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
Agada.
Mbijan aganyadi.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ah,
mbare mo ki janna nun kono bara tariaka.
Ah, jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kono kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma nin domorol ni fana be teat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.